Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for another edition of our 6 p.m. news over Camdis Television. Let's begin with our bullet points. The fourth Economic Actors and Local Development Fair (SAIDEL) has opened in Kribi, bringing together mayors, investors, and development partners to explore how new economic opportunities. City authorities are using the event to reposition the coastal city as a major investment hub, highlighting the potential of the Kribi deep sea port, growing infrastructure, and the tourism sector. Cameroon has joined the rest of the globe to mark the 2026 edition of World Creativity and Innovation Day, a moment dedicated to promoting creative thinking as a tool for solving pressing national and global challenges. In a bit. Thanks once more for joining us. We begin the news at the National Assembly, where parliamentary diplomacy took center stage in Yaoundé on April 20, 2026, as the National Assembly's Speaker, Right Honorable Theodore Ndato, granted audience to the Ambassador of Switzerland to Cameroon, Her Excellency Nathalie Colli. The meeting reviewed 6 decades of bilateral ties dating back to 1961 and set fresh ground for cooperation in agriculture, research, and parliamentary exchange ahead of the 51st annual session of the Parliamentary Assembly of La Francophonie to be hosted in Cameroon. Bertrand Tita and Madoshe Kwiate.
The high-level exchange took place at the Speaker's Cabinet in the National Assembly, marking 1 year and 6 months into Ambassador Colli's diplomatic mission in Cameroon. His Excellency Nathalie Colli opened audience by congratulating Right Honorable Datu Theodore on his election as Speaker and commended the fruitful relations that have bound Yaoundé and Ben since 1961.
We talked about the Swiss-Cameroonian bilateral relationship that is very rich and goes very deep and covers a lot of different dimensions. We have also discussed how we can look into reinforcing the relationship between our parliaments. There are several ideas that we have discussed. So in view of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Francophonie that will take place in July.
Both officials reviewed recent milestones, notably the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Cameroon and Switzerland to facilitate research and financing at the Institution of Agriculture in Obala Central Region. They agreed to multiply such cooperation initiatives that directly impact community growth and food security.
We will have a high-level representation coming for the meeting in July. And until then, we will look on both sides into possibilities on what could be topics that we could further exchange on and learn from each other. One element that we have discussed is also that one of the very first female parliamentarians that was elected in Switzerland in 1971 was a woman of Cameroonian origin.
The Speaker and the Swiss diplomat highlighted the strong parallels between the two nations' multicultural, multilingual, multi-denominational societies as a significant basis for exchanging best parliamentary practices. They stressed that parliaments should lead in fostering this exchange. The discussion also turned to shared heritage. Right Honorable Datu Theodore and Ambassador Colli underscored the need to modernize the legacy of Thilo Frey, the first female parliamentarian of Cameroonian descent elected to the Swiss National Council, whose story embodied the deep human ties between both countries. Looking ahead to the 51st annual session of the Parliamentary Assembly of La Francophonie, scheduled for Yaoundé from July 7 to 12, 2026, Ambassador Colli confirmed the attendance of the National Council of Switzerland. The Swiss delegation will be led by its president, Pierre-André Pach. Both sides noted that the Yaoundé session will provide a prime opportunity to strengthen parliamentary ties between Cameroon-Switzerland Parliamentary Friendship Group, whose president, Honorable Joshua Ossi, took part in the nearly hour-long audience.
And onto this sad story, dawn broke with grief across Cameroon this Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, following the death of a senior senator for Tabe Tando George, a respected statesman, a traditional ruler, and advocate for dialogue and development in the southwest region. He passed away after a prolonged illness, marking another significant loss for the nation, coming shortly after the passing of the Senate President Marcel Nyat Ndifendi, who is yet to be laid to rest. We have Bertrand Tita once more, who gives us details about the fallen hero.
His Royal Majesty Senator for Tabe Tando George Nzemso, aged 75, died late Monday night, according to verified social media sources corroborated by Senate colleagues on Tuesday morning. Associates said he had battled a prolonged illness in recent months. Born on October 29, 1950 in Batontai, Mamfe Central Subdivision, Manu Division, for Tabe Tando ascended the throne of his native village as chief in 1977, inheriting the traditional title Mfo that will precede his name in public life for the next 5 decades. Trained as a lawyer, he founded Stide Law Chambers in Douala in 1975, building a reputation as a prominent, enterprising legal practitioner. His success at the bar propelled him into business. He later established Aero Oil Limited, an oil prospection company active across several Cameroonian oil fields, where he served as executive chairman. His entry into national politics culminated with the election to the Senate in 2013 under the banner of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM). In 2017, he succeeded Senator Peter Mafani Musonge as CPDM Senate Parliamentary Group leader, a role that placed him at the center of the ruling party's legislative strategy. At the time of his death, he served as one of the vice presidents of the Cameroonian Senate, a senior position within the upper house of parliament. Within the southwest region, Mfo Tabe Tando had in recent years assumed the reins as acting president of the CPDM Central Committee's permanent delegation. The position was previously held by former Prime Minister Peter Mafani Musonge. Due to Musonge's personal engagement, Mfo Tabe Tando, then vice, was chosen to hold the fort, steering party activities in the region during a period of heightened political and security tension. In the Senate, he was recognized as an influential voice in debates on infrastructure, healthcare, and national dialogue. Peers particularly credited him for his consistent advocacy for dialogue and development initiatives amid the Anglophone crisis that had gripped the southwest and northwest regions for nearly a decade. While never shying from the complexities of the crisis, he positioned himself as a proponent of reconciliation, often calling for inclusive approaches to peace building. His dual identity as traditional ruler and national legislator gave him rare standing. As for of Batontai, he commanded deep grassroots respect. As vice president of the Senate, he helped shape legislation at the highest level. The timing of his death adds to a somber mood in Yaoundé's political circles. It comes barely a week after the passing of former Senate President Marcel Nyat Ndifendi, whose funeral arrangements are still pending. He leaves behind a legacy that spans the courtroom, the boardroom, the Senate chamber, and the Royal Court of Batontai. Cameroon loses not only a senior senator, but also a lawyer who mentored a generation, a business magnate who ventured into oil, a traditional ruler who modernized his chiefdom, and a statesman who, until his final days, argued that the path out of crisis ran through dialogue. The southwest region has lost a son it called His Royal Majesty. The Senate has lost a vice president. Cameroon has lost a builder.
And may his soul rest in peace. Let's now revisit the visit of Pope Leo XIV to Bamenda, this time to talk about something that has been animating public and private discussions. The Holy Father was seen shaking hands with Fons during his visit to the Northwest region. Meanwhile, it is age-old tradition that Fons are not greeted with hands. In the following analysis, our staff lady Promise Akante says there is more to handshake than meets the eye. Let's take a listen.
According to the customs and traditions of the Northwest region of Cameroon, traditional rulers called Fons are not greeted with a handshake due to deeply rooted traditional, spiritual, and protective protocols that define them as sacred figures, not just political leaders. The Fon is considered a sacred mediator between the living, the ancestors, and the gods, making him apart from common human beings. In Northwest tradition, the Fon only shakes hands with another Fon of equal status, as explained by the recent picture of the Fon of Bafut shaking hands with the Fon of Mancon. Looking at the sacred statues and spiritual purity, upon ascending the throne, a Fon is initiated into specialized secret societies and rituals, giving him a magical spiritual power that ordinary people, his subjects, do not possess. Shaking hands with subjects or commoners is seen as breaching this sacred separation and contaminating the royal spiritual purity. An image of Pope Leo XIV shaking hands with Fons during his stay in Bamenda continues to animate discussions. From an anthropological standpoint, the Pope and the Fon are both spiritual leaders who stand for their people and answer to a higher power in their own worlds, and that is why a handshake between them makes sense. It is not a common person touching a king, it is one custodian greeting another. Neither of them got the job by appointment or election the way a mayor or minister does. The Fon is raised by bloodline and ancestral rights, just like the Pope is raised by the Church through the College of Cardinals. So both are chosen by the deep customs behind them. Each one carries signs that show his office. The Fon with his staff, cup and throne that nobody touches casually. The Pope is his ring, crozier and chair that have the same weight, and each one talks to something higher on behalf of his people, whether it is pouring libation to the ancestors or saying mass to the Almighty God. Both are surrounded by rules. You do not grab a Fon's hand inside the palace, and you do not walk up and clap the Pope on the back either, because both offices have protocols and both represent communities that were there long before today's governments, the Fondom rooted in the land and the church stretching back more than 2,000 years. So when they meet, it is not one tradition breaking another, it is two old sacred systems recognizing each other, and equals can greet equals. A handshake implies equality.
Let's now take you over to the south region of the country. As you heard in one of our lead stories, Kribi is using the fourth economic actors and local development fair Sidel to shed its image as not just a beach town and rebrand itself as Cameroon's city of opportunity. With mayors, investors and developers gathered at the event ground, city leaders declared Kribi open for business, pointing to its deep water port, expanding infrastructure and tourism potential as assets ready for investment. Melanimbo.
The coastal city of Kribi is hosting the fourth edition of the Economic Actors and Local Development Fair, known as SIDEL. The city is using the event to change how people see it. Kribi wants to be known not just as a tourist town, but as a place for business and investment. The theme of this year's fair is urban planning and sustainability, catalyst for local development. Mayors, investors, business leaders, and financial partners are gathered to discuss projects and partnership. Kribi is no longer just a beautiful tourist town. It is now a city of opportunity, a city where people can invest, and you are all invited to come and invest. A city where we build. So come and build. Owning land alone is not enough. The The city has a deep water port, growing infrastructure, strong tourism potentials, and a good quality of life, but the stress that development depends on will, not luck.
Et à Kribi, nous avons fait le choix du développement.
Here we have chosen development. With its deep water port, its rapidly expanding infrastructure, its exceptional tourism potential, and the quality of life it offers, Kribi today stands out as one of Cameroon's most attractive hubs. CIDEL is more than just a fair. Organizers see it as a working platform where people in local development can meet. CIDEL is about creating a space where local development actors can meet, share ideas and build together. And today, as I look around this room and see the caliber of the participants and the diversity of the institutions here, I can say with pride the challenge is being met.
Je peux dire avec fierté.
A key part of CIDEL 2026 is the launch of the website jesuiaucameroon.com. This new digital platform is supported by the Association of Mayors of Cameroon Cities. It allows local government to post projects that Cameroonians living abroad can support, either from far away or when they visit home. The goal is to turn the diasporan support into reinvestment and skills for local projects. The retest will be what happens after the event ends. The fair has successfully shown Kribi as a place of ideas, opportunities and ambition. The presence of so many business and financial leaders sends a strong signal of trust and interest. With its port, its projects and a new way to connect with Cameroonians abroad, Kribi is hoping that it will attract the
Cameroon's Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation and the International Institute for Water and Environmental Engineering have signed a scientific partnership to strengthen training and research in water and environmental engineering. The core value of this partnership is ensuring students trained abroad return to serve national development, directly linking academic work to Cameroon's public sector needs. We have Melanimbo once more and Mado Shekwate.
The Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation has strengthened its collaboration with the International Institute for Water and Environmental Engineering, an institution of which Cameroon is a founding member. The partnership aims to build a lasting scientific alliance in the Institute's core expertise, water, energy and environmental engineering. A key pillar of this cooperation is the training of the Cameroonian students currently studying at the institution's headquarters in Burkina Faso. Among them are doctoral candidates who represent the next generation of Cameroonian researchers. The agreement ensures that these students receive high-level academic supervision while being prepared to apply their knowledge at home. To make this training more practical, the partnership will establish field experimentation sites in Cameroon. These sites will allow masters and PhD students to conduct hands-on research under the guidance of the TUAI and local teams. Beyond research, the initiative places strong emphasis on professional integration. Students are not only being trained abroad to stay abroad, they are being prepared to return and serve Cameroon. Linking academic work with local field sites and future employment pathways, the partnership seeks to reverse brain drain into brain gain. For the Ministry of Research and Innovation and the Institute for Water and Environmental Engineering, this collaboration represents a strategic investment in national scientific capacity. Cameroon, as a founding member of this institute, is reclaiming its role in shaping the institute mission while directly benefiting from the skills and research of its own citizens. The result will be a new generation of Cameroonian engineers and scientists equipped to tackle the country water and environmental challenges.
Creative minds and innovators in Cameroon have joined their counterparts all over the world this April 21st, 2026 to celebrate World Creativity and Innovation Day with a focus on using creative thinking to solve urgent problems in their respective countries. Today's celebration offers an opportunity for our newsroom to evaluate the contribution of artificial intelligence to the society. Promise Akante is our staff lady on that bit. Let's take a listen.
Celebrated annually on April 21st, this UN-designated day encourages using new ideas to create a more sustainable and equitable world. For 2026, World Creativity and Innovation Day focuses on using creative thinking to achieve UN Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), with key themes highlighting innovation for inclusion, harnessing creativity for global progress, and the call to step out and innovate to solve urgent global challenges. In Cameroon, young people are invested in artificial intelligence, which they are using to solve Cameroonian problems. The Intellibra, for example, created by a young Cameroonian female student, helps in the early diagnosis and prevention of breast cancer in women. The inventor, back then in her second year in university, used artificial intelligence to propose a solution to one of the biggest health problems faced by women. The Cameroonian engineer who created the CardioPad brought in a solution to the distance factor in medical follow-up. Thanks to the CardioPad, doctors can consult and follow up patients from a distance. In the domain of agriculture, the automated irrigation system uses artificial intelligence to help farmers balance up soil humidity, considering the inconsistency of our seasons. The United Nations General Assembly designated April 21 as World Creativity and Innovation Day to raise the awareness of the role of creativity and innovation in all aspects of human development to promote creative thinking, cultural, scientific, and technological innovations. Cameroonians are creating and innovating in various sectors of activity, from robots to applications, and need just a little push to take it to the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, it is the 6 p.m. news over Camdis Television. Let's now take you beyond our borders to get updates of what make news. First up in Ethiopia, where fresh concerns are emerging over a potential resurgence of conflict between Ethiopia and the northern region of Tigray following plans to restore the regional parliament. Experts warn that the move could undermine the Pretoria peace agreement and risks drawing neighboring Eritrea into renewed conflict. Second stop will be in Chad and then the Democratic Republic of Congo. These stories are compiled in the following report. Rising tensions are fueling fears of a possible return to war between Ethiopia's federal government and the northern region of Tigray after regional authorities announced plans to reinstate their parliament. The devastating conflict between 2020 and 2022 left hundreds of thousands dead and was sparked by disputed regional elections that Addis Ababa refused to recognize. Analysts warn that restoring the 2020 parliament could breach the Pretoria peace agreement, raising concerns that violence may resume and potentially draw in neighboring Eritrea, whose relations with Ethiopia remain strained amid long-standing border and security disputes. Determined to support efforts to restore stability, Chad has announced plans to deploy 1,500 troops to Haiti as part of a United Nations-backed multinational security mission aimed at combating escalating gang violence. President Mahamat Idris Deby said the contingent will consist of 2 battalions of 750 personnel each, reinforcing ongoing international efforts to support Haitian police as armed groups continue to control large parts of the capital Port-au-Prince and deepen an already severe humanitarian crisis. The deployment is expected to strengthen the multinational force, which aims to restore order and protect civilians facing years of deadly violence, kidnappings, and insecurity. In a move to strengthen security coordination in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the head of United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, James Swan, has begun his first field visit to the conflict-affected region of North Kivu. During meetings in Beni, he received security briefings, engaged local authorities, and reviewed ongoing efforts to protect civilians from persistent threats posed by armed groups, particularly the Allied Democratic Forces, while emphasizing stronger cooperation between UN forces and provincial leaders to stabilize the vulnerable Grand Nord area. And that news out of the country, ladies and gentlemen, takes us to the end of our 6 p.m. news over Camdis Television. It was a pleasure staying with you, but do not go nowhere. Up next is Select 2, a presentation of Tabby Clarkson. Stay tuned.